Hey, Alexis.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, and yourself?
I'm surviving.
That's good. So I think I got a little bit of more understanding on, you know how like they say 6 months to 2 years and stuff like that.
hmm
Um, so my understanding is once you take the practitioner, you have 6 months to take the associate, and then
Oh,
once you what?
nope.
And then once you take the associate, you have 2 years to take the professional. So like you could take it within, but if you don't do it, then you have to redo the test. So that's my understanding.
Not quite. All right, so there's two different things. There is like the recommended amount of experience that they would expect before taking the exam. And then
Mhm.
there's the expiration of the certificate you get upon passing. So for the certified cloud practitioner, they're like, okay, so 6 months to a year of experience. If you're working in a workplace that does AWS stuff, you should be good there. That's just a guideline. So like I took the exam like after a week. Some people like study for a few months. Like it doesn't matter. Like you take it whenever, and then you have it expires in 3 years.
Oh,
Um,
so it changed because everything that I'm seeing is like 2 years.
yeah, like I can okay, so I am going to LinkedIn. Um, I am going. Okay, I'm not gonna curse.
You're gonna go to your profile because I end up doing it. I keep thinking it's like Facebook.
Right. All right. So I'll
Oh,
just.
I see it.
Damn
I
it.
saw that it said 24.
Yeah. So it expires in 3 years. But you'll notice here that I took the cloud practitioner in February 2021, but it's expiring in April, which is not 3 years. And the
Yeah.
reason that happened is because after you can actually renew the cloud practitioner by taking one of the associates levels to renew it. So
Oh,
I would have taken this solutions architect instead of taking it a few months later. If I would have taken it like 3 years later, then my CCP would have renewed. And the
okay.
same thing happens for when or if I take a professional certification, this will be renewed, and I think this will also be renewed for
Yeah,
the
I
um
don't think we need to do the practitioner again. I think it's just the associates, right?
yeah. I mean, if you want, if you were at a level where like they recommend the CCP also like for mostly for people who aren't developers. Like I still think the CCP is valuable for developers to get a lay of the land, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
for the cloud like what AWS has to offer. But some people who take the CCP are like product managers and people who just want to be able to understand what the developers are talking about at a high level when they're discussing like planning projects and stuff.
Okay.
So some people would only take the cloud practitioner, and if they wanted to make sure that they were up to date, they would keep taking this one over and over again. But most likely, since you want to get the SysOps, you would be renewing this one by proxy by taking the SysOps and like recertifying in that. And if like I believe that if you wanted to go further and take like a professional one in 3 years to renew this one, that this one would also renew, if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah. And that's what I got the understanding. So like um pretty much he said the next step would be architect, but I kept thinking all through Lambda, we've worked on development. So that's why I keep thinking developer, like we should focus on developer, just because we haven't really done anything in architect. And he also said that like, and I gotta stop saying like,
No, it's
um,
fine.
that the developer also covers the architect. So that's one thing that I wanted to see what everyone thought, because honestly, like I don't want to do the architect because I feel like we worked on developing all through Lambda.
Okay.
So I could be completely wrong. What made you decide to go architect?
Well, I can answer both of those. For me, my motivation for going to the architect was that I'm not, or like at my job and some jobs, when you do get a job as a developer, some of your responsibilities are also designing. Like for instance, my company, Eventbrite, we have been charged with breaking up one of our backend services into microservices and like re-architecting it so it can scale very well. Because right now we have some scalability issues with the way that our current service is right now. And we've actually spent pretty much half of the year, like we're probably going to actually start building and like actually coding again in July. But we spent the first half of this year just like designing and writing like a 60-page document on like how our service is going to be, like what the infrastructure is going to be, like what the endpoints are going to be, how the database is going to be designed, addressing like issues of like how it will scale given 2, 4, and 6 times load, and just like a lot of that stuff. And I saw, well, one, I didn't have any like experience with systems design or AWS at all. So that's why I wanted to go in that route to get that. Then I've also read that, you know, there is like what you said, there is a lot of overlap with the solutions architect and the developer. My initial plan was, okay, after I get the solutions architect, I'm going to get the developer, the developer certification. But I feel like I'm getting a lot of hands-on with AWS at my job that I can point to if and when I decide, you know, it's time for me to go to another company. So I want to be able to point to like, I helped design this thing. I have a certification in AWS, so I know what I'm talking about, but my experience is hands-on. I think if I do go to get a certification again, it'll probably be the database specialty, since I have an interest in and I have been designing our persistence solutions for our suite of microservices at Eventbrite, or at least on my team. So I'd probably get that just to make sure like I was getting every little bit of all the other database solutions I haven't touched. Right. And if I were to get another certification instead of getting the developer, since I feel like a lot of the stuff that's on the developer is on the solutions architect, and then I'll also have that hands-on experience, I'll probably just go straight for the DevOps professional. But I'm probably not going to do that for like 2 or 3 years, just so I can take advantage of not having to like retake the professional again in 3 years if I just took it right now.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
But like, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. Currently, the solutions architect associate is the most common certification that people get. I don't know why. I know that it predates the foundational certified cloud practitioner certification, but people seem to look at that one like this is the entry level. I don't know why people go for that one over the developer in most cases, but like it just really depends on what you want to do. If you want to learn the skills that it takes to build in AWS and not necessarily like design solutions, then the developer would be for you. But I think like for you, you're wanting to do the SysOps so you can learn how to like, you know, monitor as well on AWS and like do some of like the sysadmin or like SRE type roles with actually being able to like monitor like your workloads at scale as well. So I think that's also another avenue to go.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I wanted to see how everyone else felt. And then I also wanted to see the reason why you went that route, which, you know, Claire's a it. I understand it a little bit better why,
Right.
but I do see, because, you know, I'm always on LinkedIn looking at all the new feed stuff, and I do see like a lot of people doing the architect first.
Right.
Um, but I've also seen where I've seen several people doing each cert, and I don't know if I would want to do each cert because
Yeah. I have some opinions on that. I think some people like sometimes people like set goals for themselves, like ambitious goals, and they just want to be able to meet it.
yeah.
Like my goal, like one thing that like put like my butt to the fire, as far as like making sure I did get prepared quickly. And it was a goal that I wanted to set for myself when I started studying and realizing that I could like really just like buckle down and just study really hard over the course of a few days and then take the exam. I set the exam date like a week from when I like started studying, right? Because I'm like, I want to be able to see if I can do it.
Gotcha.
And set that goal and then met it. Some people set the goal for whatever reason, be it just like bragging rights, personal, just kind of like a personal challenge, or they just really want to make sure that they're seen as a cloud expert for whatever reason. Maybe they really want to be a cloud expert for whatever reason. They will set the goal of literally getting all the certifications. And I'm in, once you pass a certification, you get invited to like the global AWS certified group on LinkedIn. And I go on there all the time and see people posting pictures of like they've gotten all their certifications. They got all of them but one.
Oh man.
It's nice, but like if you don't want to like literally, especially at larger companies, even smaller companies, you're not going to be doing everything. You're most likely going to either be like in a situation like where I'm at, where you're probably okay, you're going to be maybe designing a solution and implementing it, or you might just be designing, or you might be in charge of DevOps, or you might be a security person, or you might be like SRE setting up the networks and whatever, but you don't really need to get all of them. Some people just want to.
Gotcha.
And it's definitely not like a necessity for any jobs. Like jobs are honestly just happy to see that you have one or two, or even like just one associate. They'll be like, cool, I see you have this, let's talk.
Right. Yeah. Like even the instructor on here, he was showing the path that you would do the practitioner, and then you would go through all the associates. Then you would go through the specialties, and then you would go into the professional. And I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of.
If you want to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money and a lot of time, where instead of studying for a certification, you can take what you've learned in a certification to like be getting hands-on knowledge. You don't need to do all of them.
That's what I thought. And
like think about it too. Some of those, there's 2 certifications that are related to like data science and machine learning. Are you planning on doing that in your career?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I was looking at it and I was like, well, I could see advanced networking would be a good one, but I'm not sure. And then like the certified security, but the others, I'm like, not sure if I'd be interested in those. But maybe later down the road I might. But
yeah,
at this point, no. And then there's only like 2 options that I remember for professional, and that's your architect, and then I guess it's the DevOps, right?
Right.
But yeah, it was just funny when I was watching it. I was like, holy crap, do people really do that? And then all of a sudden I started seeing a couple of people posted on LinkedIn, and I was like, wow, I guess people do that.
Yeah, people, they have their different motivations, but even if at one point I was thinking like, would I want to do that? Like, could I do that? Like, could you do it? Yes. Do you want to do it? Maybe over the course of your career, but then also imagine that these certifications expire after 3 years, and to keep all of those like, and like making sure you like renew your certifications, that's gonna be a lot. But for the specialties, you have to retake those.
Oh, you do have to retake them as well?
I believe so. I
Yeah,
can double check, but I'm pretty sure that you need to retake those. But imagine spending all that chunk of change just to retake the specialties every 3 years, plus retaking the professionals too, and hoping. I think the professionals do trickle down to the associates and the certified cloud practitioner, but I can't be 100%. But wanting to do all that, that's one, a lot of money. So yay, AWS for these people giving them money, but like, why if you don't need to?
yeah, I think he did say that the professional does cover the associate, so you wouldn't have to redo the associate, you would just redo the professional. But he didn't really say too much about renewing the specialties. So I guess that's something that I could do a little bit more research on. I just assumed that it was a one-time deal. But again, you know, technology changes. So I could understand why they would want you to redo it so you could be up to date. It's just, like you said, a lot of money.
Yeah, you have to retake it.
That
I just looked it
stinks.
up. I mean, you get the 50% discount because every time you pass an exam, the next one that you want to take is 50% off.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But like, it's still, that's a bit extra. Let me look at the, oh crap. Let's see. I would want to double check for myself if if me retaking, like if I were to take the DevOps and not do the solutions architect professional, if that would renew the associates. I mean, it doesn't really matter because I've seen people let their certifications lapse because, like, for the most part, they have that foundational knowledge.
Right.
But like, I kind of like the idea of like, because there are some perks where like, if you did want to go to one of the AWS like conferences, like the reInvent, like you get, I don't know exactly what the perks are, but like there's certain perks that certified people who go there get. I'll probably be singing a different tune in 3 years when I'm like, I don't want to take the exam, but
yeah, I definitely understand that.
yeah.
I'm looking to see like in their questions about the certification. Yeah.
It looks like I have to recertify. I have to take the solutions architect, not the DevOps. But if you take the developer or ops, if you take the DevOps professional, that recertifies those two.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's annoying.
It is.
No, it's good, but it's annoying because I don't want to take this. I don't want to take the professional solutions architect.
Gotcha.
Whatever. I guess I'm taking it now.
And, you know, I think watching this, it kind of, you know, the beginning of this video, I'm glad that he kind of went over the different ones, because even though it might be early, it also gets you thinking about these certifications as you're prepping for the practitioner, and gets you in the right headspace of what you want to do and do the research instead of just going, okay, I'm going to do this because everyone else is doing this. Or, you know, it's kind of nice that you could tune it to what you want, not just what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the, I like that too. Because I think that's like me, even just being able to talk about like which ones do which is like coming from just one, like reading about certain things, and then like it also came from like, they usually, good courses will talk about like what paths you can go down. Most people, I mean, there's some people who just get this one, but then there's other people who are doing what you guys are doing as far as getting the CCP as kind of like a gateway certification to get one of the associates.
Right. And, you know, it does help for those that aren't really familiar with what AWS offers, and it breaks it down. I knew that I wanted to do it when I guess graduated with Lambda, and I started talking to my roommate about how I want to do the back end. And then I saw that Lambda was offering the Amazon AWS course that they, I guess they're collabing is a good way of putting it, with Amazon. And obviously, to be part of that, you have to be full-time and you have to have your ISA already paid off. So, you know, I was like, well, maybe I could do it. And that's when I started looking at the AWS certifications. And then he was like, oh yeah, don't you remember I studied for that and all this and that. So it's been a while since he actually took it, but yeah, he said that when he took it, they didn't even have the practitioner.
Yeah, so, the practitioner is relatively new. I'm glad that you brought that up. A whole bunch of people in Lambda got salty when they saw that and they're like, well, I want to come back. And I'm like, no. What I think Lambda did a good job. And then I had to like tell some people in the alumni channel, like Lambda did a good job at giving us like the base on how to learn things.
Yeah.
So why would you want to give them more money or go into another program when like, because I said like, I was able to get like the knowledge of like kind of like what they were offering, like what the Amazon partnership would be offering by like going through the certifications and just like being curious and reading about things and building stuff.
Yeah, and
else you learn in the job.
Oh, definitely. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that was the only thing I was going to say. That it's fine.
I also think if like with my experience with some people that I've worked with, I think a lot of them don't realize that you still have to continue learning on your own in order to thrive in this, you know, industry. So this is a good way to start. And that's why I thought creating a study group would be a good way is, you know, we have each other as support and then, you know, we could learn together. I mean, I could do it on my own, but it's always nice to have other people with you.
No, I completely agree. And it's the same thing in industry too. Like you will be doing a lot of learning on your own. Like I can even give like maybe later on, so we're not like throwing too many resources, just like some like books that I read. When I'm like, okay, I'm a backend engineer. I want to make sure that I'm getting more than just how to make an API and connects and express or whatever, all that stuff. I want to like have like the knowledge that I need to know to like move to the next level. So I like read some books and then of course like I did the certifications and there's also the aspect of like learning from other people. Like mentorship is really great on the job, like finding someone that's more senior than you when you first start and be like, yo, I want to be like at this level in this many months, how do I get there? And then being able to tell you how. And then eventually you get to the point where you kind of get an intuition of, okay, I'm at this level now. I know what I want to know. I know what I don't know yet. I know how to get there on my own, which is great. But then there's also still opportunities with even senior people. Like I gave a presentation over some technology that we're going to be using pretty soon. And I've had senior engineers come and tell me like, dude, that really helped. That probably saved me like weeks of reading and understanding this technology by just like being able to do that. So there's like opportunities to like teach and learn from other people, like even when you're at a senior level.
Yeah,
working together.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you know. I mean, you started this study group, so you know that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky that I have someone that I live with that actually has an IT background, and he is a senior DB, and he still learns a lot of things every day. I mean, I think he's more in. I like to learn, but I think he's more into learning than I am. Like, he's constantly with a book in his hand, or constantly watching a tutorial, or you know, he does have his own meetup groups for you know, JavaScript or full stack, or he even started a technology book club just to get more information and try to interact with folks. So I can reach out to him, and he does help me when I like need to talk about stuff, especially on here.
Right.
But it's also nice to know what other people know, just not just him.
Exactly.
And see what there is. Hey guys, I wanted to jump on here because I kind of terminated the last meeting with Alexis probably too soon. But I did want to talk about that first module, which was 32 minutes. He kind of talks about creating an account. He doesn't really go into great detail, but if you go into this setup one, it does. I do have an actual video that has where it shows you how to set up the AWS, the billing limit, and the IAM user ID. But if you don't want to watch the video, my notes are pretty much screenshots and step-by-step of how to create these items. And then he does talk about the Mac operating system, where you could download TaxMate or Text Wrangler, and then talks about the macro mates. I'm not really familiar with Mac operating systems, so any of you who have Mac, maybe you could kind of give a little bit more description next meeting. But I did create notes for this, and I did post it in Slack. So I do have the link where you could go in and download that. As for Windows, he talks about PuTTY and MobaXterm, which they both do the same thing. I also posted an article in Slack showing the pros and cons of each. But if you go into the AWS Setup 3, I do have in my notes here where I go through step-by-step using PuTTY. So you could either do that, or you could learn MobaXterm on your own without my notes. And then, you know, he talks about the certifications and the route that you guys want to do. And me and Alexis kind of talked about that. And then I did want to let you know, I did scan through the video as best as I could to break down into modules. As you see, I have part 1, part 2 on some. I have some that are broken down even more. Like I said, I'm trying to keep them in blocks of 30 minutes, but I'm looking to do at least an hour a week for our assignments so we could talk about it. And then on Fridays, if you guys, when we touch base, we could all decide if we need to extend that week and continue working on it, or we can move to the next part of, or the next hour, or the next module. So hopefully this helps, and I will see you guys on Friday. Talk to you later. Bye.